Hello? 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 What the heck? No. Don't you know three's a crowd? Hello, welcome to another Nickjitsu video. With a wee difference. I'm going to be talking about a band that I'm in called Perfect Beasts. And we recently had a Kickstarter campaign to get our album up and running and to pay for copies and loads of stuff, videos, etc, etc. And some of you very kindly contributed. So thank you very, very much for contributing to the Kickstarter. If you didn't contribute to the Kickstarter, then you can buy the single. We've got a new single out called Three's a Crowd, which is what this video is about. I've been inundated with an email, including one from a Mrs. Edna Scrubs, who writes to me and says, "Dear Nick, I'm really enjoying your popular beat combo Perfect Beasts and their new single, Three's a Crowd. I don't know much about music, but I get a real thrill from the guitar cadenza just after the thematic variations and just before the recapitulation of the main theme. Can you please explain some of your non-diatonic approaches to your solo?" Well, Mrs. Edna Scrubs of 23 Acacia Avenue, get on your chromatic pants, get your tapping finger out, and let's take a deep dive in. I'm going to show you how it's going to be. So let's start with the most important part of the solo. What do you think that might be? I'll show you. It's the chords. Why do you think it's the chords? It's the chords because they inform you what the scales you're going to use over the top of the chords might be. Now, the weird thing about this is that you've got three chords. You've got a B flat, you've got a C, essentially, even though it's a C with an F in it, which would make it a C add 11. And you've also got a D. Now, they're all major. Essentially, you've got B flat, major, C major, and D major. If we look at all three chords together, we can't find a one key that's got three major chords all a tone apart without going into really exotic scales or whole tones or anything like that. And we want to keep it relatively simple. So what I did was that you've got B flat and C together. B flat major, C major. You've got two majors together. If you know your diatonic theory, and that's the order of the major and minor chords, you've got major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. You'll know that there's two majors together on 4 and 5. So we've got B flat major here, C major here. So that would be the 4 and 5 of F major. And what's G in the key of F major? It's minor. It's the 2 chord. What's the second mode? Dorian. So that's where we get our Dorian feel from. If you don't know any of this stuff, then there'll be a course coming up that I'm doing that I'm going to put out on Tinternet, and you can buy that course and it'll tell you all about the modes, all about this kind of theory, which is really important to know. If I take the C and the D together, then they belong to the key of G major. That's C is the 4 of G major, D is the 5. But we're playing in G minor. So is there a minor scale that's got two majors in it? Yes. What's it called? Correct. Melodic minor. If we harmonise the G melodic minor in 3 parts, we'll get G minor, A minor, this lovely chord. You recognise that one? The name's Bond. I spend most of my time sitting by myself. So that's a B flat major sharp 5, B flat major augmented. And then we're on to C major, D major, hooray! And then E diminished, F sharp diminished, back to G minor again. So it's worth knowing your melodic minor and harmonic minor harmony. The funny thing is that, as you've just seen, in G melodic minor, the B flat has the sharp 5. It's an augmented chord, so we can't have a normal B flat major. So each of these chords, if you got two together, they belong to one key. These two belong to one key. The minute you put the third one in, it doesn't work. Three's a crowd. You see? I'm not just a pretty face, you know. I do think about my compositions. So now we know what scales to use, or not use. We can have a look at the actual solo now, the actual widdly bit. And this took me ages to work out because I did it as just a placeholder when I originally came up with the song. The song originally came about, I got the Neural DSP Rabia plugin, and within about 10 minutes I came across a sound, and within 10 seconds of playing that sound I came up with that riff, the Three's a Crowd riff. So I put the song together and then just threw a solo in off the cuff, and I think I took about three or four takes, and I remember it was take 2 and 3, predominantly take 2 with a little bit of take 3 at the end just for the last note or whatever, and put it on the demo, forgot all about it. And then I played it to Darren Redick, who's also in Perfect Beasts, and he said, yeah, sounds great. He said, but just do me a favour, I love that solo, don't change anything about it. If you're going to change anything, don't change the solo. So normally when I do guitar solos, I put a guitar solo on more or less last after I get the lyrics, so that the guitar in some way fits the tune. It's not just a bunch of licks thrown together. It actually embodies the lyrics and the spirit of the tune. It's just the way that I've kind of been brought up with music, with classical music and stuff like that. There should always be a story to what you're doing. It's not just a let your fingers fly everywhere kind of thing. Although on this occasion, my fingers were just flying everywhere. And then when John came up with lyrics, the lyrics were quite aggressive and full of angst and hate and all that kind of thing, and a bit all over the place, just like the solo. So did he take his prompt from my solo, do you think, for the lyrics? Which comes first, the solo or the lyrics? So we've established that we can use G Dorian and we can use the G melodic minor scale. So what do we start with in the beginning of the solo? Yep, like any good rock guitar player, I've decided to use pentatonic. With a difference. So I'm using what I call my Holdsworth pentatonics because we're in G minor. You would normally use shape 4 pentatonic. That's shape 4. I quite like playing my the Holdsworth pentatonic. Now, if you don't know your pentatonics and you don't know your Holdsworth pentatonics, look through my wee YouTube doodah thingamabobs, and somewhere you'll find the 5 top pentatonics. Nobody's ever got that joke. There is only 5 pentatonics. And you'll also find the Holdsworth pentatonics somewhere. So what we're going to do is, the scale is... So that's the whole scale. Oh, yeah. There you go, Holdsworth lick. That's one of the little tricks that he's got. You learn so much more on these little videos I put together. So Holdsworth lick, you can just throw in. Works in G minor, also works in D minor. So you're playing F, G, B flat, and then you're playing an A right here. Like that. And I'm just hammering on, pulling off. Dead easy. Anyway, like I said, it uses the shape 4 Holdsworth pentatonic. I'm starting in the middle of it, fret 10, 12, and 15 on the G string. And then I'm playing fret 10, 13 and 15 on the E string. But then what I'm doing is I'm outlining, I'm tapping an A at the top, 17th fret, and then just peeling my fingers off, going back down the lick. So 17, 15, 13, 10. Then I go to the next string and I'm playing 16. Oh, that's not 16, that's 18. Somebody moved all my frets. 18. And then I'm playing the same shape. So 18, 15, 13, 10. And then when you get to the G string, you're playing a C, you're playing the, 17th fret. And then I just go down into the wee pentatonic, the little one, the normal one. I'm playing 12 and 10. And then I'm going 12, 10 on the D string. Second to last note is a G. I just, again, hammer on from nowhere. G. And then I tap the C again. And I bend. Now I'm bending with this hand. I'm bending with the left hand on the 12th fret. Like that. So when you put that together, there you go, you get something like that when you put the whole thing together. And then what I do, I dive down into just kind of normal pentatonic nonsense. Now, bearing in mind we're in G minor here, what I'm doing is I'm playing the equivalent of that. So that's basically playing C, D, G, but using an open string. So that's 5, 7 open on the G string. And then a little dip. Again, a wee bit of the Holdsworth Van Halen influence kicking in. So that's, what's that, fret 7, fret 10. And then sticking with a pentatonic. And then not pentatonic. That's kind of coming from... That's coming from the G Dorian scale, which is actually the D Aeolian shape, but the G Dorian scale. So that's just 12 on the G, 11 on the B, so that's the B flat, going to the F, which is the 10th fret on the G, back to the G on the G string, and then onto the A, which is the 10th fret on the B string, onto the C, which is the 13th fret of the B string, and then bend. So this kicks in a little bit of my blues influence. People think that I just play lots of complicated stuff, but I don't. I play blues every now and again, quite enjoy it, and I love guys like B.B. King, Albert King. I like the new young guys like Robin Ford. Is he still young? And Scott Henderson, of course, like Scott Henderson. Love Eric Gales. He's kind of like my new favourite at the minute. So I thought I'd bung in a little bit of blues. So, you know, it's kind of blues says everything about my love life and all that kind of thing. So I really connect with it. So this is the blues part of the solo. What we do is we go into like normal kind of sort of G minor pentatonic territory. And we're going to bend, what's that? That's a E flat. And we're going to bend it up to an F. Like that. And that's the end of the blues part of the solo. Then we get into this mad kind of chromatic kind of thing. This comes from just messing about with Messiaen modes and all this kind of thing. But I to be honest, I have absolutely no idea what I played. And this took a massive amount of working out. So apparently, according to my ears and transcribe, which is a thing I use to slow down my solos so I can learn them. You know, when you do a solo on a record, by law, it should just be law that you can play them always. It should be the same law that when you go to the gym, however fit you get, that's you for life. You can never get unfitter. So, you know, if you achieve 100% fitness, you can only get fitter from there on in. So I would always have a six-pack and lots of muscles, and they'd never deteriorate. I can only get more six-packs and more muscles, like a 12-pack or something, you know, family pack. This dramatic thing... something like that, apparently. Don't ask me what I was thinking. I was just excited. If I do it by the fret numbers, it's going to drive me nuts, so bear with me. It's 14, 15, 14, and then I play 19 on the B. Back to 14 on the E. Back to 19 on the B. Then 18 on the B. 17. 15. Then I play 19 on the G, and then 14 on the B, and then 18 on the G, and then back to 14 on the B, and then we get in a little bit of chromaticism, so 17, 16, 15, 14, and then we're on to 18 on the D, and then we come back to 14 on the G, back to 18 on the D, and then 17, 16, 15, slide down to 14. That's the blues bit. Something like that. I always miss a note or put in an extra note or play a different shape. Basically what you're doing... I did another version of this for the Kickstarter, and I played this lick totally differently. So don't worry if you don't get it, but blues bit. It's something like that, and the rhythm's all off as well. And then you get this, and that's just you end up on the 14 with the end of that lick. So it'd be 14, 15, 17 on the D string, and then on the G you're playing 14, and you bend it up, and what you do is you catch the 15th fret, pull off down to the 14th fret, onto the D string, onto the 17th fret, back to the 14th fret on the G. And then there's a little run that's really kind of like, it's one of these kind of runs. It's not articulate or anything like that. It's just, I've said all that stuff. This is just like a, anyway, and then you're on to the next lick. So what I do here, more chromaticism. So I'm playing 17, 16, 15, 14 on the D, and then sliding down to the 12. And then I do something really weird here. I play on the A string, I'm playing 15, 13, and then 11. Like that. So I'm kind of, I don't know what scale I'm thinking of there. It's one of these... you know, one of these weirdy kind of scales that I always play. Then we're playing like a G minor 7 arpeggio, but you can play these great G minor 7 arpeggios by just playing from G, literally the first two notes of the pentatonic, and then you go up 2 frets on the next string, and you play the same thing, a minor third apart, and then you go up a string, and then you go up another little octave. So there you go, G minor arpeggio, G minor 7 arpeggio. Because there's your root, third, or minor third, fifth, minor 7th, root, third, flat and third, sorry. Fifth, minor seventh. And you can complete it if you do it on the bottom string. So they're great little tricks for just moving around between shape 4 and shape 1. You know, if you're playing bluesy, rock, jazz, anything really. Although we draw the line at country. We don't like country, do we? No. So I'm starting on the G. I'm starting on the 10th fret on the A string, which is G, and then going up to the 13th fret. And then on the D string, I'm playing the 12th fret and the 15th fret. And then on the G string, I'm playing the 12th fret, but the 14th fret. So you get this. I bend up the 14th fret to the 15th, what I call a cheeky bend. And as I'm doing the cheeky bend, I do a little kind of flick with the whammy bar and get that kind of thing. You know, Jeff Beck, Van Halen, Holdsworth kind of style. So next, I'm going to show you why chords are important. Because basically what I'm thinking is like a G minor chord, which is the chord that's being played at that time, and then a D major chord, which is the chord that's being played at that time. So watch this. I'm kind of thinking about kind of almost bluesy type thing. But when you combine blues with jazz, you do the usual kind of if you're playing in G minor. You know, someone like that, you know, Clapton, B.B. King type thing. And that's kind of like a jazzy way of doing it. The next chord is D7. So what I'm doing is I'm doing approach notes to get up to the major third of the D. So what I'm doing here is I'm playing the 9th fret, 10th fret, and 11th fret. So I'm playing E, F, F sharp. And then I'm playing an enclosure around the D. An enclosure means that that's the note I really want to go to. I could play that. But what I want to do is I want to create a little bit of excitement. So I'm going to kind of toy with you a little bit and go, I want to go to D. Ooh, that's D sharp. I want to go to D. Ooh, D flat. I want to go to D. Ah, we're there. So and that D's got to land on the right beat as well. That's how enclosures kind of work. But an enclosure is basically, you take a chord, there's D. A kind of really easy way to do it without getting too much into it is that every note, if you play the note above, the note below, and then the chord tone, so you play this, and then your next chord tone would be here, next one's here. There you go. You've got something that resembles jazz enclosures, basically. There's a little bit more to it than that, but that'll do you the now. You're not paying for this. Buy the single, by the way. And then all I'm doing now is I'm kind of getting into the G Dorian. The kind of G Dorian shape. And all I'm doing, just a little bit of legato playing. So I'm playing from the 15, 14 on the D. And then on the A string, I'm playing the 17th, 15th, and 13th. Bang. And then I'm just doing exactly the same thing, but adding the 17th fret on the D string. Now, as soon as I hit that B flat, the 13th fret on the A string, I'm going to come all the way up the scale, I think. Is that what I do? Yeah, so I'm just going to come all the way up the scale shape. So from the 13th, from the B flat, I'm going to be playing on the A string 13, 15, 17, On the D string, I'm going to be playing 14, 15, 17, and then 14, 15, 17 on the G, 15, 17, 18 on the B, and then 15, 17, 18 on the E. And then just like a little figure, a blues again, really, I suppose. It's a wee bend on the B flat, so I'm bending from B flat to C. So that's bend at 18, up to 20, back to 18 again, 17, 15. B string, you're playing the 18th and the 15th. And then very last note, we're back to our blues again. You bend the 18th fret up to the 20th twice. 2 times the amount of blues we did earlier. There you go. And then we're into that weird chorusy bit. So you can also see, because even though it's a rock song, there's lots of my jazz influence in there. And the jazz part of me basically pays attention to the chords a little bit more. So this is where your theory becomes just dialect, if you like. But ultimately what I'm doing is I'm using my ears to make sure that I hit each chord and get the chord tones right and all that kind of thing when I'm playing. And make sure there's some kind of attitude behind what I'm playing too. So the single Three's a Crowd is out now, came out on Halloween. So go and get it on Bandcamp. We're going to have our album out, Perfect Beasts album. Will be out on the 29th of January. And we'll be playing Winter's End Festival on the 30th of January. There is merch. We have t-shirts. We have wee bags over here that have the Perfect Beast logo on it. Perfect for putting all your CDs and stuff in there. When you can use this also as some kind of like spaghetti bib. It can handle catching all your food and stuff like that. And if you get caught in the rain, it also makes quite a good hat. Like, subscribe, do the thing with the doodah, and don't forget to spread the word about the album and the single and all that kind of thing, and the bags. And I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you very much. Sláinte bhfear. That's a wrap. Cool. Now watch where you go. Oh, you idiot.